Namaste. मेरा नाम नायस्वामी विजय, मेरा घर नोएडा भारत है। मैं टूटी फूटी हिंदी बोलता हूँ। So I've been influenced by my current environment somewhat. I might give the impression that I can speak Hindi, which I can't. I get around a little bit. Today's subject is why do devotees fall? And I was wondering why I was given that talk at the topic. Many years ago, Swamiji wrote an article once, and in this article it said, "A slip is not a fall." And I visualized from that ice skating. Ice skating where there's a whole lot of slipping going on. But you know the difference between falling and slipping when you're ice skating. Because when you fall, it's dramatic. As long as you don't actually hit the ice, you only slipped. We all experience ups and downs in the spiritual life, and sometimes we feel guilty that we do. We feel like, I should just only be good. We're supposed to be perfect, so we feel bad when we're not. But do you know anything in nature that only goes in one direction all the time? Nothing. And when Master described the spiritual life as a horse race, except when there's a horse race, the jockeys are they're doing tricks while they go, and then some of the horses are going backwards. They're not always going forwards. And we all have this challenge in life. Swamiji often said in later years that we really only have two choices in life. We turn towards God, we turn away from God. And so I think one of the tricks to thinking about the subject, at least one way to look at it, is that we should just simply say, no matter what happens, no matter how close you get to the ground or if you actually hit it, the key is to get up right away and face towards God. He says, well, why do devotees fall? Well, you have to be a devotee to fall. Don't you? If you're not a devotee, you can't fall. Because at least you can't fall from being a devotee. But if you're a devotee, you can fall as a devotee. So the key is to be a devotee. The key is to be always a devotee. The automatic reaction that we should all have, no matter what happens in life, is you turn towards God. And then it's inevitable that we will achieve our goal. It doesn't really matter how long it takes. What only matters is that we just keep moving in the right direction. And this is truly the history of Ananda. Just keep moving in the right direction. We've never been a group of people that had airs about who we were and what we had accomplished. In Swamiji's example, when he started Ananda, he was already world known as a speaker. But he was never the kind of person that would puff up. And he often told the story of he met some woman at some gathering, and she said, "Oh, you're Swami Kriyananda. You're famous." It's really a meaningless term to us. So this idea that devotees can fall, the truth is that you can't ever be lost. You can never find yourself in a situation where you're not going to come to God. It's just a question of time. as devotees, we're motivated. So what we want to do is enhance that motivation. And that's really what I want to share a little bit more about today. Having fulfilled the subject's title, I shall now, like a good politician, talk about what I want to talk about. This is why I'm not always invited to speak. But what can you do? That's just the way it is. It was my very good fortune to read the autobiography at a young age, 17. And it took me some time to get to Ananda. I had taken Kriya from SRF, but I was not really dynamic in my practice. And when I found out about Ananda and I came to Ananda and I met Swamiji, my life changed. I went from a person who wanted to be a devotee, desired to be a devotee, wanted to meditate, desired to meditate, and did become perfect, but got into an environment that supported that interest. And I found a group of people, some of which are here today, who were totally dedicated to this this mission in life to become, well, I think in the early years, the mission was samadhi. Really, it was samadhi or bust. They didn't really care about anything else. Samadhi or bust. And we really, we went for it a lot of the time. And the thing is that Swamiji gave us the impression that we could, that it was possible. And this has been the Ananda culture since my arrival, my experience, is that we can be devotees, that we can experience God. And even if we don't achieve Nirvikalpa Samadhi in this lifetime, we can experience more and more and more of God's very visible and very meaningful presence in our lives. And in that process, we become freed from the angst, that unhappiness that drives you to the path, but that you don't have to hold on to for very long. So the name Ananda is so perfect to our lifestyle, to the way that we approach life, because we approach it with joy. I'm energetic, I'm positive, energetic, enthusiastic. This is really, and it doesn't say, I am in samadhi and positive and energetic. No. It just says that this is the way that I choose to live. This is what I want to do. And in that process, especially being around Swamiji, we realized that in every moment there was this incredible spiritual potential. And most of us have grew up with the idea that, spirit is here and all of life is over here, and that they don't go really together. And that maybe if you go to a faraway mountain and seclude yourself, and then after many 20, 30, 40 years, maybe you'll have a good day, But it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all. Every day has been an adventure. Every day has been maybe not the experience of joy, but the very real knowledge that you could experience that joy if you could fully enter into it without, our hang-ups of things that we're stuck in, each of us in our own way, are slipping. We all are slipping and sliding in our own ways, but the key is that we, no matter what happens, we always get up. And we can see that in Ananda's history. Ananda's history has been very challenging. For so many years, we saw all these other groups that are so huge, and they get money from everywhere. And we were going, But there was a very real benefit in the way that Ananda has developed. And Swamiji said from the very beginning that success would be our greatest test. because it's so easy to forget the value of challenge in life, the value of motivation, the value of having to strive. Because if you could feel 85% blissful, would you be motivated to go to the next 10, 15%? You know what I'm saying? I'm saying this is why it's not considered a great blessing to spend a lot of time in the higher astral realms. They're very beautiful, but they're not motivating. And on Earth today, we got lots of motivation. And we live in such incredible times. We have the tools. We have the support. We live in one of the most incredible times in history because we have been given a huge spiritual opportunity. And one of the reasons that it has come to us, of course, the masters and their light that has come into the world and this change in Dwapara Yuga, but through the very specific channel of Swami Kriyananda. And in 1976, we had the big fire, and Swami was in Hawaii writing the first edition of The Path. And he came back right away, and we hunkered down and had fun. First thing we did is we went out and had a concert, and we had fun. And one of the amazing things about that experience was that I think that the peoples who their homes didn't burn down, they felt left out. Really, they felt left out. So completely different than worldly consciousness. That's devotee consciousness. After Swamiji wrote The Path in 1977, he recognized this shift in his life. And although Ananda has always been international, it's always reached out, and we traveled to a variety of conferences and different speaking opportunities, but building the foundation of Ananda was an essential a step, and we're experiencing this in India too, is this need to have, if you want to talk about the infrastructure of a group of people that want to reach out and share, they have to have the foundation of, they have to have people who can do it. And spiritual training takes time. It's not like the Universal Life Church and you just, go online and become a minister. It's really a dynamic experience. Sometimes I remember, I'm going to leap ahead just for a moment. There was a woman in Sacramento who questioned our qualifications to teach and counsel. And she was a psychologist and everything. And Haridas's response was, well, we're not qualified because we're not masters. But we have been trained by Swami Kriyananda. We're connected to something larger than ourselves, and most importantly, we try to do our best. And in some way, she got that. But I've jumped ahead, so I'll go back. So Swamiji wrote The Path, and then he decided to go into seclusion in India. And in the seclusion, he sought to find this shift in his own consciousness and his guidance. What do we do now? We've gone this far. Here's this book. What do we do now? And it was my good fortune to be on this trip, and we spent time in India. That was 1977. And during this time, Swamiji really spent time in deep seclusion. And when he came out of this seclusion, and we not long after that, we left India and continued on our journey. But our first stop outside of India was Bangkok, and that was when he received, and you saw this in the Finding Happiness movie, a picture of Swamiji with the path, the book, holding up the book. That was the first time he saw the published book. And as a part of this really momentous beginning of Ananda's serious outreach, and it was after that that Swamiji went out on tour. But when he came back to Ananda, and the monks, we decided we were going to take Swami out to dinner. And there was a performance, a musical performance. It was maybe it was the Messiah or something, but it was at the Foundry in Nevada City. And we had this big long table, and all the monks were there, and we'd eaten, and a lot of nice sharing. And the next thing you know, Swamiji says, so, I really think that we really need to, next thing we need to do is start a center in Sacramento. And Sacramento was the first center started by Ananda, from Ananda, that we actually sent people out. And then he said, and who should we send? And everybody looked at the plate. Eye contact is volunteering. Isn't that true? Eye contact is saying, I'll do it. Everybody. So you couldn't, you. And Swamiji said, well, I think we should send Nayaswami Vijay. And I was really busy looking at my plate, so it kind of surprised me to hear my name, But of course, you can often in life see both sides of the coin at the same time. You see what this positive opportunity may be, but you also see the downside. And there, are you going to be a devotee? Which way are you going to turn? And so this meant that we wouldn't spend so much time, with our family at the village, and of course with Swamiji. But it was this incredible adventure, this incredible opportunity, and this opportunity is one of the definitions of Ananda's history, which is that we've never been a place that only turned in. That we've always been, Swamiji's mission in life has, and now of course we see so clearly, has been, and our path has been not meditation and service, but service and meditation. But that service has been based on that meditative experience. But still, we have not meditated only for ourselves. And Swamiji's life was so dedicated to serving the world and fulfilling the responsibilities that Master gave him. And so he asked us to come to Sacramento, and we did. And what an adventure. What an adventure. Some of you know a couple of these stories, but some of you probably don't know. We really wanted advice. See, Swamiji was accused over the years of being bossy, But, look, leaders need to make decisions at times. You can't debate everything. But we wanted to be bossed. I spent years saying, please tell me what to do. Please tell me what to do. I don't have to worry about it. He wouldn't do it. So when we came to Sacramento, it was funny. My first job at Ananda was Ananda Recordings. He said, we need to have a recording department. Would you like to do this? I said, okay. I had told him I had a tape recorder, so I was qualified. So I said, well, how should we do this? How should we do it? How do we do it? He stuck his hand out. He says, we'll be partners. And that was all he ever said. He never said another thing. That was it. So when we came to Sacramento, he didn't give us any instructions. We didn't even have, Jyotish was the only minister at the time. We were just young guys, mid-20s. We didn't know what we were doing. So One day he came to visit. He came to visit. And you know why we had the first house was on Boone Lane. We liked it because Daniel Boone, it was one of the disciples in the autobiography. That meant it was the right house. And he came to visit one day, and we had a nice little visit, and then he was halfway out the door, and he turned back and he said, "Can I offer you guys some advice?" And in my mind, I'm going, okay, where's the recorder now when you need it? This is it. This is the moment. Open. Boys, keep the place clean. This was the advice, the only advice. Of course, we didn't have any trouble giving him advice. One time, we had come up with this theory that we were trying to give people too much too quickly. So Haridas has a little way with words, and so he came up with less is more. Less is more. So we were very excited about this. We wanted to share it with Swami. So he is scheduled to come down and give a big public talk. And so right before the talk, I can't believe we did this, but I'm sure I did it. I take responsibility. So I said to Swamiji, "Sir, less is more. We don't talk so much. Don't talk for so long. Let's make it a little shorter." Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is that in classic Swami fashion, he never said a word. "Oh, thank you." Moved on. Shuttled about 20 or 30 years forward, and it occurred to me I should ask him what he thought of my advice. So by then I felt safe. He couldn't kick me out then. So I said, "Swamiji, what did you think of the advice that we gave you?" So I thought it was pretty cheeky. But this is like in the reading today. When you feel somebody's going to be cheeky at you, what do you do with it? He didn't say a word. He just let it go. Clearly, he thought it was cheeky, but he didn't act on that. And so don't be afraid to recognize the reality is that was not an appropriate thing. But then you don't have to react to it by engaging into another inappropriate thing. And this is how we learn from Swamiji. We learn just by being around him and recognizing that in every moment of life there is an opportunity to grow, to be humbled, to understand more about how God and the masters can live through us. And this was one of the great adventures for Haridas and I. We had a garage, and we created a space for the temple that it became quite famous, actually, the garage of the eternal religion. And we recognized that if we disturbed the neighbors, then they might not want us to stay there. So we super soundproofed it. And so you could come, sometimes you'd come to the house, you'd see, maybe 20, 30 pairs of shoes, you wouldn't hear a sound. And it was quiet in there. It was really, became very magnetic. And we had many good meditations there. But the whole house became a space where we actually could live and begin to fully embrace that Ananda wasn't a place. That Ananda is not a building. It's not even, I want to say it is a group of people, but it's not really a group of people. It's a universal consciousness. But this group of people is particularly attuned to the way that we can most comfortably, if we're drawn to this path, grow in our association with that universal Ananda. And over the years, that's, of course, made many little branches of the family and being around the world now. It's unbelievable. In India, the people are they're so, I mean, talk about markets. You want to market something, we're in the right country to market this path. They are so open to it. But it's interesting, there was a very well-known leader in India today, Sri Ravi Shankar, and he's really reached out to a lot of people in India the way TM did in America and around the world. When his birthday party, 50th birthday came, 2 million people came. It's like, whoa. We've never been that. We've never had 2 million people. We've had a couple thousand. But there's a blessing in that for us. There's an understanding in that for us. Because like fast food, the more there is of it, it's much harder to keep the quality up. And our path is a path of quality. It's a path of realization. Each and every one of us is being challenged to say, are you ready to graduate in this lifetime? Yeah. Or how far do you want to go? And it's up to us. I mean, we can, we're bound to, by our karma from the past, but at the same time, we're the ones who have to motivate ourselves. And one of the greatest ways to keep that motivation going, one of the greatest ways to avoid, you're not going to avoid the slipping, but you can avoid the big crashes through the Sangha. And this is a challenge for us, it was a challenge in Italy, and it's a challenge in India, is to get these family-oriented cultures to shift from the earthly family to the spiritual family. And it takes time to build that kind of relationship and trust to where they recognize that you can have both, you can support. And we've seen this beautifully. One of the reasons I'm in the States today is because my daughter got married. So we have families, we've maintained and in fact improved. My dad and I never got along, but through being a disciple, I was able to process that in myself and say it to his face, Dad, I love you. Didn't really matter his point of view anymore. He no longer had that power over me. And this is the power that comes from discipleship, that the world doesn't affect you in the way that it used to. It doesn't control your happiness. You control it in association with Spirit. And the Ananda Sangha family is an incredibly powerful force for each and every one of us to experience that growth and connection and safety net in its own way. But one of the essential components of that is that we always reach out, that we always share it, that you don't hold it only for yourself. And this, of course, Swamiji's life example, that he talked, as long as I knew him, he talked about spending 6 months a year in seclusion. He just always wanted to go in seclusion. But he never did. I mean, never for any extended period of time. For shorter periods, yes. But his personal inclination, in fact, we all know that for so many years he said, I don't know, I want to graduate, I don't want to come back. I'm done with this world. But later in life, he began to be so connected to the bliss, really, that he said, well, whatever Guru wants. You see? You even what you would consider to be such a high purpose. I want to be free. I don't ever want to come back. That we should all feel that. But then to transcend even that, I remember Swamiji finally did the renunciate order, and renunciation, you give it all up. But you don't always recognize everything you're going to give up. So when Swamiji wanted to do this, he decided, see, I loved ochre. You see where I'm going? And traditionally in the Swami order, you take a new name. I had the new name set. I had a piece of cloth that I had gotten in India in 1977. And I had been saving it for this day all these years so I could dip it in the ochre. And Swamiji wanted to go blue. You even have to give up that. And now I'm Swami Vijay. I mean, yeah, okay, I love Vijay, but at the same time, new. You have to give all that up. You have to accept that there is a spiritual momentum in our lives that that isn't going to go the way we expect it, but that we want to ride it. We want to be in it. And during this last year, there has been this incredible surge. I know you're all aware of this incredible surge of light and energy and expansion all around the world in the Ananda centers. It's been, we all speculated for years what would happen when Swamiji passed. And then a lot of people thought that Ananda would diminish. And it's natural in many groups. The charismatic leader leaves and passes, and people drop away. It's been unbelievably the opposite. Unbelievably. It's just everywhere you look in all of the centers around the world, there has been this surge of creative, increased involvement, enthusiastic. We are going to carry on what we have been blessed to receive. And this is really my message today, is that embrace this. See this as the opportunity that it truly is. When Haridas and I came to Sacramento, we experienced in this very real way God's presence working through our lives to share the light. And we couldn't always predict what the results would be. But in the outward details, but in the inner details, people's lives have been touched. When I went to the service in Assisi after Swamiji's passing, and while I was there, I saw and had a chance to visit with a fellow named Mark Monson, who was with us in the Ananda Sacramento in 1978. He came. And you don't know how your God, through you, it's not us, but it's through us, can touch somebody's life. And there you go. 40 years later, he's still there. He's still doing it. What a blessing. How many times do we say, oh, if you could just help one person, it'd be worth it? Well, there you go. We shouldn't just think that. We should recognize that all the time. And each in their own way. It doesn't mean that everybody has to get up and give lectures, but it means that if you have this relationship with God and you invite God to inspire you to be a channel, then in every life experience you watch for the little opportunity. Could be just saying a kind word to a person, but it's always being present and recognizing that each and every person in the world, knowingly or unknowingly, is a devotee. Because there is nothing but God. Everyone is on a spiritual path. And you could say, well, not our spiritual path, but no. There is only one spiritual path, Sanatana Dharma, the eternal truth. And we are just one expression of that truth. And you just never know. Wouldn't you want to help somebody find their path? Even if it's not our style? Of course. We all need to represent Master and the Masters. We all need to take on this responsibility. This has been given to us. We've been born into this time. So I encourage you in my own way. This is why I'm in India. And who knows how long I'll be there? I don't know. But each and every one of us, we don't know what it looks like on the outside, but we do know that on the inside, it can look like God's presence in our lives and opportunities to share that presence. And this truly is the way to avoid falling. And most importantly, the positive side, which is to live in the joy, to live in Ananda, to live in here in God's presence, and to share that presence with all that we meet. Namaste.